Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Hi, good evening. Welcome back. I am the host of the show. My name is Jay. I'd love to introduce my co-host. We have Josh Ritcher back in the house. Josh, we missed you last week. Welcome back. You are now north of South America, but still south of North America. Right? But welcome back.
Exactly. God, I'm so happy to be back.
That would be almost like in the middle of nowhere, like First in Manhattan.
There you go. There you go. But I think you know what I'm getting at. Josh is south of North America, but still north of South America. I'll say that for a second time. Welcome back, Josh. We missed you in the studio last week. Was one heck of a show, and you were missed dearly. Evis Heath, the man of the land, they call down under. Australia is where he lays his head to rest each night. Evis Heath, welcome to the studio.
Thanks as always, my brothers.
And of course, we have the one and only Mr. Jeff Fasano coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. Jeff, welcome to the show this evening. Good to see you back. Last week you came in live from a remote studio in Houston, Texas. It's good to see you back at your home in Nashville.
It's good to be back.
So tonight we normally don't do any type of dress rehearsal or put out how we want to look or what we want to be color-wise, but somehow we color coordinated. In this moment, we are a checkerboard. We've got the diagonals, the black, and then we've got in the reds or cranberries, but we can easily switch that up and we can go this way. Or, of course, we can go that way. You see, this is just an example, a metaphor for life. We always have choices, even when we may think we only see one way in or one way out. We have choices. And so, gentlemen, what's new with you guys?
Man, I was just saying in the green room with my brothers, it is absolutely pouring down here, cats and dogs in the land down under, particularly on the East Coast. We've got flash flooding. We've got a bit of echo there. Where's that coming from? We've got flash flooding happening here on the land down under, and they're telling us to stay inside. It is life-threatening. So, yeah, man, you know me, I'm a man of the land. It's hard not being outdoors at the moment, but believe me, tomorrow morning it'll be something different.
What's the need for the cleansing and the clearing down under, Ev?
Brother, I think it's worldwide. Jeff Fasano, what do you reckon, man? Bit of an emotional cleanse, bit of conscious cleansing.
Physical cleanse, mental cleanse, emotional.
All of the above, mother.
Really?
Just really watching us out. But it's beautiful.
Isn't that the truth?
Well,
being pushed, tested, and it's beautiful.
What I'd like to do before we jump into tonight's show topic, now that we're all back here as our loving foursome, I want to take a moment here to welcome our viewers. Viewers, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have missed you as well this week. You know, that gap between Friday to Friday leaves a lot of room for us to explore and grow and learn and fall and slip and trip and maybe even pick up an injury here or there. But no matter what, we still show up. No matter what, we show up, we dress up, and we show up for ourselves. And so, viewers, if you should hear something that you like or love, with love, please tap your love button and light us up in the moment. If you should have any questions for the four of us, please feel free to drop the question in, and I'll do my best to pick it up on the feed. And if you just want to interact and drop some comments in, we will acknowledge as many of those as we can. And welcome to the show, viewers. We just absolutely appreciate you being here. Last week's topic was one of those really heavy ones, perhaps the heaviest one yet for us. I know I was impacted in the show, and took me a good couple of days to recover, to process our show on abuse, physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. But tonight, our topic is a little bit lighter. We decided to kind of lighten it up a bit. And tonight's topic is what wakes you up in the morning. And so I'm going to invite Josh, Ritcher, since you had a week off, you are fresh, you have rested, you are ready to rock and roll this house tonight. I'd like to invite you to kind of warm us up and chat a little bit about our topic for tonight, what wakes you up in the morning. And as I said in the post, in the marketing piece, are you ready? Do you wake up excited to start your day like I used to feel when I was that little boy, that little kid, when I was excited in the summer months, especially when I wasn't in school, to get up and get out? And so what wakes you up in the morning? And let's set this up for an amazing show tonight, Josh.
Well, was actually at dinner before this and talking with my girlfriend about it, and she came up with a really simple answer, and she said coffee. And I said I gotta steal that for the show. No, what an amazing topic tonight, and I feel super blessed that I do wake up excited every day now. And it was like that. The times as a kid, what really got me going as a little boy was like waking up on Saturday morning to go out and build forts or build a dirt track for our remote control cars, or it was always creating and building for me. And so, and it isn't just physical objects for me. It's creating this documentary and building something from an idea in my head. The same was when I had my software company and was creating something from scratch. And I think for me, it's that creative process, taking something from nothing. And I think for me as well, it's a level of quality. It's like I get excited about not just doing something, but doing something a little bit extra, going the extra mile, taking that extra time to maybe put into a project what most people don't, and finding those little extra details that make something special and make something really unique and make something, I feel like I'm giving gifts to the world, or bringing little joys to the world when I create and when I build and when I make beautiful things. And so for me, it's that process I think really excites me, as well as when I discovered my my true passion in life, which is teaching and helping others. That's the other big thing that gets me up in the morning. And like also creating this documentary for me is helping to wake others up to the power of their thoughts and the power that we have to control our lives with our internal dialogue and all of that. And so those are my two biggest passions. And I'm so blessed to say today that I'm living both. And then I wake up in the morning excited. I'm not dreading leaving the house or stepping out of the house. And it's not always the case. And we just have to be grateful for the times that it is and remember those and try and create more of that, right?
Love that, brother. Love that, man. Yeah, well, I'm going to piggyback straight on that, my brother, and thanks for that opening, because it's just already given me that idea. And I still find it really hard to believe that people cannot wake up each morning seeing the beginning of a new day, of a new creation for their own lives. And that beautiful tone that you said about making a difference to the world, I think a lot of people have forgotten the humility of an approach of why we should be waking up each morning. And, it's definitely one thing that's really paved its way within my life. And I set that tone when I was talking about when I went from those, that labels and status to purpose and service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When someone comes to me and they just don't have a reason to wake up every morning, they're in this depression, they're in this anxiety, I really ask myself first, why would this person be in such a position within their life to be put in this particular state of mind each morning, particularly here in the year 2021? We've had this beautiful chance, as we keep saying, to reset, recalibrate. And why I see so many people may not want to take off those covers in the morning and get up out of bed, because they are still out of alignment. Now, I'm going to ask a lot of questions tonight, and it's one sheet that I always give to my clients, and it's really setting the tone for finding purpose and true alignment to your why within your life. I still feel personally that we're all shedding, we're all shredding, like you were saying, Jeff. We're cleansing with all this flash flooding here in the land down under. We're all shedding the layers of the old way of what was really defining our true happiness, our well-being, and our inner peace. So as we shed these layers and as we peel back the covers, so to speak, of a morning, we start to uncover and discover our true meaning and purpose down here on planet Earth. Last night, just before we tap on over to the brothers, I started watching the old film. I'm not sure if any of our viewers are out there have watched it, but these films are following me, man. I keep saying it on my videos. And it was the old Julia Roberts one, Eat, Pray, Love. Have any of you guys seen it?
Mm-hmm. It's been a while.
Yeah, man.
It's been a while. I saw it, but it's been a while.
That is deep. I've only started the start of that. And, it talked about those little couple of relationships that we may have to go through, like we're always talking about on here at Real Men Real Talk, that, may have to, we let go, but they do bring us down to only rebuild that purpose and that why within our lives once again. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to diving in here tonight, my brothers. And that's just my little bit of an opener, particularly on why we may not be waking up within the morning. Are we really living our true life to our purpose and our why? Or are we just waking up just to go through the routine of the normal 9 to 5?
Jeff, before you jump in, I want to just acknowledge a couple of things as I'm reading the feed from our viewers and listeners. Kurt Richardson, congratulations to you. You finally did it. You had the courage, and you are celebrating retirement this week. I believe it was your last week, or you had your last day in your role as a consultant, and you have chosen to retire from corporate America. And it strikes me because I have witnessed a number of men in my life circle contemplating retirement at different times. And one of the things that struck me was, what gets you up in the morning? For a lot of men, it's the responsibility of going to their work or engaging in their career and their responsibilities. So what happens to a guy that has spent so much of his time invested in his career that he hasn't developed what we call hobbies? I don't know if they call them hobbies down under or not, Ev. Hobbies or passions or passion projects, side hustles, whatever you want to call it, that I think is what a lot of men fear about retirement is what am I going to do? What's going to get me up and out in the morning? And so, Kurt, I invite you. First, I just wanted to take a moment to honor you, truly honor you, congratulate you, and honor you for having the courage to say, yes, I'm ready. Like, I'm done. I'm ready to not start over, but really start to live life now in retirement. It doesn't mean that you're one and done. It means that you finally have just grown up. Now it's time to enjoy your life while you have your health.
There you go.
And so I invite you, Kurt, to drop it in the comments. What's going to get you up in the morning now? Do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? I've got another dear friend that was talking about retirement for the past couple of years, and he made a decision to put it off now. And it's just one of those things, especially for men. My dad put it off until it was his time. Unfortunately, that time took too much of his time. And 3 years later, he was diagnosed with a disease that eventually took him out. And so I just, I honor and love when I'm able to witness a man have the courage to say, no Moss, no more, not here, not today. I am ready to be free so that I can connect in the ways that my life, my business choices maybe blocked me from having that experience with myself. And so, Kurt, congratulations. Jeff Fasano, you're up, man. What gets you up in the morning? And was it always that way? And how do you sustain that desire, that drive to get up in the morning, whether or not you have the cat? Because a lot of times people use animals to help get them up and get them out. And sometimes we use our partners or our spouses.
Well, my cat gets me up every morning at 6 o'clock because she wants to eat. So that wakes me up. It's kind of like Josh's coffee in the morning, My cat wakes me up in the morning. I want to respond to what Jay said about retirement. Like, what's that? What's retirement? Maybe that's a whole other subject for us to delve into. But retirement, to me, I retired from the corporate world at 40 years old. I mean, almost 20, over 20 years, 22 years now, to actually live my passion and purpose in life. I ain't ever going to retire from the fun that I have taking pictures. I mean, I know plenty of photographers out there, into their 70s and 80s. Pete Seeger was still making music at 99. Come on. It's like, the bottom line is that I'm not quite sure what retirement is. I get it. I saw my father do it, and I saw my father's life slip away from him at 67 years old, up until, for 13 years until he passed away, because he was used to working since he was 11 years old. To me, it's about, what Ev just said, the 9-to-5 job. I mean, for 18 years, I was working a 9-to-5 job in corporate America. And when I really found that my passion and purpose is photography and changing and living that life and creating that life, in the last couple of years, I was miserable waking up in the morning, having to put on a suit and tie and go down to the World Trade Center in New York City with the hustle and bustle of rush hour on the subways in New York City. You can't breathe and all of that. And I had to get up because I had that commitment, and that was where my paycheck was. But and what got me up in the morning was the excitement about my passion and what I love to do, and it still gets me up in the morning. But there was a period of time when I lived in LA that I was waking up in the morning and I was not excited about it. It was a period of my life, even though I was living the life I wanted, my life got convoluted. And Ev just said, labels, status, and all of that stuff, and the 3D world, and being immersed in being competitive, being immersed in making money, being immersed in all this. I forgot the reason why I left the corporate world at 40 years old to create a whole life of taking pictures and living my passion and purpose. I forgot the simplicity of it. I forgot the joy of it. I forgot what I loved doing and why I loved doing. And I let the 3D world outside of myself take over. Label, status, money, all of this stuff. And then the internal stuff, I haven't done enough. I'm this, I'm that. Until I really stepped back and left that crazy place of Los Angeles and moved here to Nashville, made my life simpler, brought it back in a community of people who are not consumed with all of that. And then really sat back and look at why I chose to shift my life, change my life, and then realize what I've accomplished. The 22 years that I've been doing this, and the joy that it brings me, that it brought me back to the place that when I do wake up in the morning, my life is simple, it's peaceful, it's joyful. I've got a lot of amazing people in it now, with a wonderful community around me here in Nashville, the music community, and so many other people that I chose to begin to create that around me. That when I wake up in the morning, my life is simpler. I am more peaceful, joyful, and even the simplicity of going in and feeding my cats in the morning, watching that. My life has just become so much more peaceful and simple that when I wake up in the morning, I'm not chasing after the status. I'm not chasing after being the best photographer in the world. I'm not chasing after anything anymore. The competition is out of me, and I've begun to reflect on what I've accomplished in my life and all the things that I want to do in life. But man, it's just become so much more simpler and easier and peaceful in my life. And that's what gets me up in the morning.
I love that, Jeff. I want to take a moment here, Jeff, to acknowledge something that Katrina May said. I know we're gonna retire from retirement in this moment, but what she said, I think, is just beautiful. For me, there isn't such a thing as retirement. You can end a role or a job, but you can never retire from being you. That's the real work you want to do forever.
Beautiful.
And God, that just is a beautiful frame that you just put around that word. And we do a great job here in Real Men Real Talk Live, breaking words down and sometimes shredding them. And it's interesting that you say that you can never retire from being you. I think for a lot of men and women, leaving a job or a career actually opens you up to really self-discovery as to what is your purpose, who do you want to be, and create your life around your truth. Because as you shared, Jeff, a lot of the choices that you made in your younger years were really not your choices. You did it to get acknowledgement and love from your dad. And so, coming back to tonight's topic of what wakes you up in the morning, I think it's a great opportunity to really examine if you struggle to get up and get out. What is that telling you about where you're at? Now, I know Abigail said she's not a morning person. She's more of a night owl, and some of us are just wired that way. I don't know if it has to do with the month that we're born in, if it's a horoscope thing, what precipitates that. But I know I was always a morning person, and the women in my life have always been more of a night owls.
Well, in the music world, your morning could be 3:00 in the afternoon, but it's still morning to you.
That's true. So it's just an interpretation of if we're defining morning by the sun rising versus we're defining morning by when we arise. I guess where I want to take this conversation right now is, so if you are one of these people that really is struggling to get up and get out, what are some of the tools? What are some of the things that we can help provide tips, tricks, and tools to help inspire those that are maybe unsure how they can be inspired to arise? And what is it? What do you think that can look like?
What is in your life? Looking at what is not in your life. That was one of things that I needed to do. What's in your life? Like I just said, I have wonderful people. I've got you guys doing a whole bunch of new things that is. So it's really reflecting on what is in your life and starting to celebrate with gratitude what is in your life, who is in your life, who are in your life are the relationships that champion your highest good. What are you doing that brings you joy in your life? What are you creating in your life? Where are you serving others in your life? It's really about what is in my life. What is in my life? I know for a while I was waking up and constantly looking at what isn't, what I haven't accomplished, what this, what that. So a suggestion I would give, if you're looking at life as my life is empty, my life is this, and begin to look at all the wonderful things in your life, all the wonderful people in your life, and also be aware if you're one of those people that just love to whine about how lousy your life is. I did that for a long time until a woman I was dating in LA brought that to my attention, and I went, wow, and I shifted that.
And where do you think that came from, Jeff?
Constantly looking at what isn't in my life, what this is not good enough. It's conditioning. I promised myself I wouldn't go back to mom and dad tonight, but it really is. My mother, nothing was ever good enough for her. It wasn't about what we had or what she had. It was always something outside. So it's really looking outside of ourselves. What I haven't accomplished yet, what haven't I done yet, and then hearing that voice of maybe mom and dad, like, you haven't done this yet, haven't accomplished that, you haven't made this much amount of money yet, you haven't attained this yet, you haven't attained this status yet. And I bet so many people out there who are in that place like I was. I bet many of you out there have accomplished an awful lot. I bet many out there have helped a lot of people. I bet many out there have had fulfillment in their life, because that's what it's about. It's about fulfillment within us. It's not about getting filled up. It's not about going outside of yourself and saying, I got to accomplish this. Look what I did. Oh man, I'm really rocking it now. Are you looking at yourself in the fulfillment of your life where you are, to continue on that pathway of helping others, serving others, doing what brings you the greatest amount of joy? And that's the thing. That's what I do.
Love that, brother.
So if we are one of these guys or gals that struggle to get up and get out, and it's really not, it's deeper than we're just not a morning person. For some of us, it's we're unhappy. There's something in our life that we don't want to face, and we want to just stay in bed, put the covers over, so that we don't have to face it. How can we, as men and women, have the courage to change our relationship with awakening? And I share that because I recently had an opportunity to work with a couple, and in a relationship, the wife feels responsible to get him up and out every day because she's got to go to work. And right now they have a very young infant that he needs to attend to. And it's a battle every morning. And I asked him in that moment, I said, each time, every morning when you're going through this with your wife, how old do you feel? It was a setup question because I knew the answer was going to be pretty close to what he said. And he said, I'm about 16. And I said, who is it that's waking you up when you're 16? And he said, my mom. I looked at his wife and I was like, you want to be his mom and you want to be his wife? And I'm bringing this to the conversation because this is a reality for many couples. I don't think that this is an abnormal relationship between husband and wife. This happens in homes. Now, I had one of my sons was very much like that as well, and I remember my wife and I we would get so stressed out, and I reached the point where I felt like every time we struggled to get him up and out, it impacted our relationship, number one. Secondly, we were enabling our son. We weren't teaching him consequences for his behavior. But again, we had a conflict there because at the time, my wife felt like, well, we have that responsibility as his parent to get him to school. And if we don't, we're going to have a problem with the school district. So I don't mean to digress back to my son's childhood, but we're talking about here as Real Men, Real Talk live. What do we got to do to break our cycle to having our partner wake us up to show up for our daily responsibilities? What is that? What do you think is behind that? What's really going on here? Josh? What do you think?
I'll unmute myself. If you hear background noise, there's a Mayan ceremonial dance happening outside the window.
Nice.
And I'm not to brag about where I am. That's none of that. It was just really loud and sounded like a drum party in the other room.
That'll wake you up in the morning.
Exactly. But I think Jay, you asked two things. I think what are some tools, or how can we get through moments of not waking up, and then you addressed the couples thing, and I guess I'll just speak to the first one. Because last year I was on a TV show where I had a miserable boss, and I hated going to work every morning, and but I couldn't quit the show. And there are those jobs that we're in that we can't walk away from. And for me, TV has every show has an end. So I knew I had 3 more months, and that's easier for me, admittedly, than someone who's in a 9-to-5 career all of their life. But what I had to do to make myself happy was I had to find joy in the work. So I said, what is something that I haven't maybe cultivated in my life more, or what would I like to cultivate more of? And that was deepening relationships. I had come out of my 30s and my do sort of mentality, and my work, go. And I had let go of a lot of relationships, and I never really tried to cultivate relationships at work. I'd always sort of had my friends and then my work people. And so that was something I decided to focus on with this job, was that, I'm going to ask more questions about the people that I work with for 12 hours a day. And what are they like? What are they passionate about? And it was also kind of like maybe me just showing up and being an active listener. And that was my goal, was just and I was excited to go to work and talk to new people. I mean, I had 150 some people on a TV show around me. And I just decided to ask questions. And that was literally the first time in my 20-year career that I started asking people personal questions. And the answers I got back were fascinating. And I just found it really, and so I found joy in getting to know people, getting to know what made them tick. I'd ask them what they enjoyed. And it was like, it made work not work. And even though there still were the bad parts, the boss that was hounding me and, being really negative and this heavy cloud around me, I found the joy in what I could control, which was cultivating relationships. And so we do have control over things for sure, especially in situations that feel out of control, or there are things that we can't influence, like somebody else. And the other thing I did was I decided to show up with my boss and just be very human and to disarm his need to go to anger and his some of his defense mechanisms. I think I was triggering some defense mechanisms in him. I think he felt, I guess I can't say how he felt, but I felt that I would show up honest, vulnerable, and real and human. And honestly, that worked really well in that situation.
I love what you said, Josh. That was so powerful, that when you realized that maybe if you got out of your head and what wasn't working and tried a new strategy to help yourself, which was to invest time to ask questions and really get to know your peers, your associates, even your supervisor, it changed your relationship with what you dreaded having to deal with, going to work every day. What did you learn about yourself through that experience?
Man, I did. I saw something. I saw that I was projecting not being enough, and that my boss was mirroring that in me. I mean, he kept. I was just floored that he kept coming to me, questioning my work ethic, and I was just flabbergasted because I'd never had my work ethic questioned. And then I realized that it was me. I didn't think I was enough, and I was afraid I wasn't doing enough, and that he was just mirroring me. And so yes, it was a challenge to have that thrown in my face so boldly, but I got the message, and that's the point.
Powerful, man.
And that was
powerful.
Ev, what do you make of this here? Katrina says exactly. People think they have to have a work side and a home side, but once there is no separation, you connect better with people. Great filter to life is just being your real self.
Yeah, man. It's beautiful. When you realize that you don't have to work another day in your life, you are truly living on that home body, that home side. And, to me, the old paradigms like we're talking about here tonight, they were jobs. They were the old acronym that we all know, the just over broke. It's conforming to something that truly wasn't aligned to that heart's desire. You're talking about our brother here, Josh, when he's coming out of the head, we're going down into that heart, because as we know, my brothers and sisters, the heart knows all. It is the intuition. It is the very first thing that's born when you are born, or that grows. So, one thing for me, when we're talking about these tools, is when I ask people questions about why they may not be wanting to wake up in the morning, just look at that word for a second as well. It just hit me during the show too. Mourning. Like, what are you mourning about? What are you mourning? Are you mourning the night? Are you mourning the day before? Are you mourning the past? See, we're not present. You ask yourself these questions like the curiosity of a child, like our brother Josh did within his work environment, and you get the answers. You receive these answers. When I'm waking up, do I need that coffee to wake me up? Do I need, the cat to wake me up? Am I dreading the day ahead? Does my vision or my purpose for the day lose focus? Are my actions worthwhile to really contribute and make a difference to other people within my life, and most importantly, myself? So all of these things, we're getting this mature sense of what it is to be a human being. But by asking these questions like our brother Josh did, like I said, you'll receive those answers 9 times out of 10.
I think it's not so much about waking up in the morning, because that's the beginning of our day. But I think the bigger question is, if if that's a struggle, when you open up your eyes in the morning and you feel sadness, or you feel empty, or you're looking at your life and constantly focus on that, the bigger question comes down to is like, look at your life. You know, really take a look at your life. If that's what you're feeling when you wake up in the morning, you're probably feeling that throughout the entire day. And then it's about looking at your life and saying, what is my life like right now? Where is my focus of attention on? You know, we all have to take, and all of us here have done that. The four of us have looked at our lives. We've really looked at our lives, and then we've all taken responsibility for what we had created in our lives up until the point where we realized that we weren't happy, we weren't fulfilled. This is really not the life that I want to be living. And what is that? Many people stay in the old life because they think that's it. They really think that's it. And finding that place of creating the life that you want and taking responsibility for it and shifting your life into something that's more fulfilling, whatever that is. And then always keep in mind that the reason why we're put in this 3D, in this human form that we're in, is to serve one another.
But what would you say, Jeff, to the people who say, like, I mean, all the tough things are happening to them in life, and just it's tough to take responsibility, for sure. And what would you say to those people that say, I'm not responsible for all this bad stuff that's happening in my life? I mean,
why are you claiming yourself a victim to what's happening outside of yourself to you? Because aren't we all always creating our reality? Aren't we creating what's going on in our world based upon our self-worth, our value, our conditioning, our programming? So it's really in looking at your life and saying, okay, my life isn't the greatest now, and this is happening, that's happening. All right, and look at everything that's happening in my life as a gift and a lesson for me to learn more about myself and what I don't want. Perhaps it's about looking at your life saying, I don't want this, but I'm not sure what I want. But I know I don't want this. That's how my brother found his way in life. He looked at what my father was living. He says, I don't want that. I'm not going to put a suit and tie on every morning and go and do the 9-to-5 thing. I don't want that, but I'm not quite sure what I want, but I know I don't want that. So there's a way of looking at that. But really, what we've been talking about on all of our shows is shifting and changing the relationship we're having with ourselves. Right, Josh?
There you go.
You know?
I think that was my worst day and my best day in life was the same day. The day that I realized I was creating all of it.
Yep.
It was my worst day where I was like, fuck, wow, this is on me. I can't blame anyone. I can't blame the world. I can't there's nothing to hide behind, right? But then it was also my best day because I said, well, if I made all that shit happen, well then what else can I do?
Right.
If I take the reins of this horse rather than just, floundering, if I take the reins and really steer and try and, know that my thoughts create my emotions, which create my reality. Well then, and you start to tinker with that and play with that and you start to see changes. That's when you're like, whoa.
Right. Ask the question, what brings me the greatest amount of joy? And what really, that is the main question, is like, what brings me the greatest amount of joy in life? And as you said before, Josh, just getting out of your head about the what, the when, the where, the how, the who, and all that stuff, and begin at the foundation of what brings me the greatest amount of joy in life. Not what I'm doing, but really what brings me the greatest amount of joy. And I asked that question a long time ago, and for me, it's music. It always has been music. And then I found this gift that I had of taking pictures, and I said, well, I want to photograph musicians. And I just married two things that bring me the greatest amount of joy in my life, and really never asked those, how, what, when, where, and who questions. I always had the why. And the why was, holy shit, I really dig doing this. And this raises my resonance and vibration when I'm doing it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Jeff. Go ahead, Ev.
And really defining those words that you're talking about, brother, what is your definition of joy?
Yep.
What is your definition of happiness? These emotions that can be fleeting. So many of us up until this point, our idea, our definition, our meaning of happiness was to have the beautiful house and the beautiful cars and the beautiful family, and all those things are relevant. But is it actually pleasure that you were seeking? You see, this is us again getting emotionally intelligent. So, yeah, man, 100% there, Jeff. Go on, Jay.
Where I wanted to go was I love the conversation that's taking place between us, but there's a dual. We're living in a dual reality. There's a conversation taking place with our viewers and listeners, and what strikes me is the question that I think is at the root of it is our why strong enough? If we're struggling with rolling out of bed in the morning, and we need something or someone to get us up and out, whether it be a threat, whether it be a partner, whether it be something outside of ourselves, I think it's an opportunity to really explore why. First, why are we dreading the day? And secondly, if that is in fact our reality, why are we not looking at exploring what will it take to get us up and out with that excitement, like when we were a little kid, Christmas Eve, knowing that when we wake up that next morning, we're going to be running down them stairs. If you celebrate Christmas, you know what I'm talking about, or any holiday like that, where gifts are given to children. The greatest gift we're given doesn't happen once a year. It happens every morning that we're gifted another day of life. And that's what we seem to be missing, taking for granted. So many of us. We are about 12 minutes from the hour. And so it's that time, gentlemen. We're going to mix things up, and we are going to go to magical chairs in this moment. You know how it works, but if you're new to the show, and if you are new to the show, welcome, by the way. Viewers, if you are new, if this is the first time you're watching or the first time you're commenting, we appreciate you. We welcome you. We are so grateful that you joined us. Please drop in the comments. Let us know where you call home today, where you're from, where you live. And so in this moment, each one of you will have 2 to 3 minutes to either share closing thoughts from tonight's show, tips, tricks, and tools to help you roll out of bed with a purpose in life. But before we go there, I'm going to ask each of you a question. Some may be the same, some may be different. I'll know when I know. So what I'm going to do, Jeff Fasano, I think you've been up first a few times here, most recently. So I'm going to put you back. We're going to go back to a checkerboard layout here in color. And it's been a long time since you've been up number one. So I'm going to hit you with a question. Now, these questions are meant not for you to kind of roll through them, but really go into them and really answer them, being real, being vulnerable, being honest here, going deep. So I'm going to invite you to take it out to the outfield in this question, Ev. If you could wake up and have anything you wanted, what would it be and why?
I have it every day. Can you believe that, brother?
No, who was it that called BS on Jeff Fasano a couple of weeks ago?
I honestly,
I had a bunch of people in the last week or so do that, but
I honestly used to think it was many things, Jay Rothman. I used to think it was the career. I used to think it was being a sporting hero. I used to think it was having the shiny car, the shiny house, all of the physical, the material, the 3D things of the physical world. But then I was asked this beautiful question by a very wise man. And he said to me a few years back, he said, "What's your meaning of life, Ev?" And I really digested it. I sat on it. And I think what we're toying around here is, what is this meaning? And I kept it very, very simple, Jay the Rothman. I'm going to answer it with one very simple word. It's life itself. That's what wakes me up every day, my brothers and sisters. Life. You know, we've been distracted by so many glitz and glamour and all of the things out there, because we forgot about the very most precious thing of all. That's life. It's the breath. It's the beautiful things that come within us to experience, learn, teach, share, create connections. So it's life itself. And that's why I keep asking my brothers and sisters, you've got to go deep. We've got to hit this out in the outfield. And you've got to really ask yourself, when we're doing these particular shows, what is sacred to you? What's sacred to your space? Now, what is your life plan? Are you experiencing life, like I said? Do you have these morning spirituals that I always talk about, that Jay the Rothman calls the non-negotiables? You know, are the relationships, the people, the relationships that you're having with yourself, with food, with the nature, with all of these things, is the love you're showing yourself, is the love you're showing others, bringing you intimacy? Are you finding that balance, my brothers and sisters? Are you finding the beauty in everything that we are here to experience? Because if not, my thing is that we need to start writing down and really taking that inventory of why we may be in that position or that particular spot within our lives right here, right now. Because if we aren't waking up every morning, and like I said, just waking up just for the experience of life itself, we're not here. We're not here. We are not present. We are not in the moment. We're either stuck in the past, we're worried about what's going to happen through the day or the future. We're not here. That's my answer, my brother.
Wow.
Amen.
I think we call it a wrap.
Yeah.
I think we can just call it a wrap and say we'll see you next week. Because Ev, I don't know how we could bring any more depth and wisdom in this moment. You brought it home, brother. One more time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I felt it. Beautiful.
All right. See you next week.
So I'm going to change things up tonight because I don't like sitting in comfort. I prefer to sit in discomfort because that's how I grow. And so I'm up next. I'm going to invite.
So Jay, your discomfort is you got to follow up Ev now.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I know how we feel.
Exactly.
Really? Now you know how we feel when you do it up.
So I'm gonna invite one of you amazing co-hosts to hit me up with a question. that you want me to answer in this moment regarding this topic tonight? What wakes you up in the morning?
What popped into my head when you just said that, Jay, is there, for you, do you think there's anything missing in your life?
You know, Jeff, I think you asked me this question about 2 shows ago.
Did I?
Yeah,
Really?
I did. Very, very much the same question.
What was the answer again then, Jay? Because he didn't remember.
Well, I'm pausing because I want to see if I have something that comes up that's different than the last time. Jeff, is that your final question? Is that it?
Well, the reason why I asked that question is because, not to make it about me, but when I used to wake up in the morning feeling sad, I always thought there was something missing in my life. That's why I asked. That's why it popped into my head, because that's where I was. There's something missing. There's something not there, not missing, not. That's what contributed to my sadness in the morning. Like, something's missing in my life, and I'm grasping for it out there somewhere.
Okay. Thank you for the stall. I appreciate that. You know, I think the truth is that it can change because we're always evolving. It does change. You know, when I think about the aspects of my life, one of them is my children. And what's missing from my life is, I'd say, with my relationship with my children, is that I could go to sleep and wake up in the morning with a sense of peace that they're okay. And when I mean okay, I mean at the deepest of levels, because you know, they're right where they're at in their own self-discovery in their 20s and early 30s. But where I go to is it's not that it's missing, because everyone's right where they're at. And for me, I then bring myself out of that deep thought and go to trusting God and the universe, that it's their journey. It's their speed. It's not mine. As a parent, you want your children to hurry up and get it, so that they don't have to suffer and live a life of survival the way I did for 54 years until I woke up. So is it missing from my life? I don't know that it's missing. It's just a desire. It's something that's always in the back of my mind. I'd say, you know, again, I could be vulnerable and say the other thing would be that I have complete health today. That I no longer walk with significant pain in my right leg because I don't have any arteries with blood flow in them that are open and flowing. But then I go to, well, God has me right where he wants me. And until I'm ready for that pain to be free, it's here to teach me something that I'm learning still about myself. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's tolerance. And to be okay with that. And so the true answer is, when it's all said and done, because I could come up with probably 3 more things that are missing, there is nothing that's missing.
There you go.
There is nothing that's missing. There are things that I would like to see to be different on the outside of myself. There are things I'd like to see different for myself in my relationships. But I spent a lifetime seeking and searching. And I don't want to look at life as though anything's missing anymore. I prefer to live in acceptance of the unknown and trust that we are all right where we're at. And each day that I am gifted, I woke up yesterday. I woke myself up out of a dream. I had a dream. I was in an airplane and the plane was going down, crashing into a major city. I don't know what the city was, but I know it wasn't a dream from my past because it was present. I was alone, but all I kept saying out loud and thinking to myself was about Mary, how much I wanted her to know in that moment, how much I love her. And boy, it woke me up. I woke up before the plane crashed. And I don't know why I brought that up in this moment, but other than because, things happen even when we're sleeping. Our mind is going. And it's my responsibility today to wake myself up when I don't like where my thoughts are going or where my dreams may even be going. So that I don't have to live in lack anymore and I don't have to chase things anymore, but I can just be at peace and practice and understand what the true essence of life is, which is about coming home. And boy, when I woke up, I reached for Mary and I knew I was home. And with that, thank you, Jeff, for pushing me into that one. I appreciate you.
You're a beautiful man, Jay Rothman. Thank you.
Oh, now you're getting me back here.
Yeah. So this is called payback.
Karma's a bitch on this one.
All right, Jeff Fasano, this is your question. What can you think about before you go to sleep at night so that you can wake up in a better state of mind?
How comfortable my friggin' bed is. There's an exercise that a friend of mine yesterday gave me that I passed on to someone else in my life, and it's also an exercise in my book, Journey of the Awakened Heart. Before going to bed at night, what were the wonderful things that happened during the day? Can you find something during the day, even if you had a real shitty day and shitty things happened? Is there something in your life that day that happened that was wonderful, that was really cool? And even looking at your day, looking at before you go to bed at night, oh, wow, what was my day like? Let me look at my day. And it will really show us where we're focusing our attention on. Am I going to go to bed focusing on all the shitty things that happened? And were they even shitty? And that's our mindset. And then we go to bed that way. Then eventually we're going to wake up the next morning still focusing on whatever we labeled or thought was lousy and crappy. Looking at all of it and then looking at, well, what did I learn today from this? And even if it was crappy, can I breathe into it and look and find the gift and the lesson in it? And then what was wonderful today that happened? Even if it wasn't an uneventful day, there's something pretty cool. As Ev said earlier, I mean, we're here living life. And that is really what it's all about. How am I living life, as Jay just said, for all those years, surviving life? That conditioning and that programming that we're simply here just to survive life. It's that old adage, life is all about death and taxes. Jeez. You know, so when my friend gave me that reminder yesterday, every night, well, it was wonderful, cool and you're with that, and then you'll find out, am I focusing on the really cool things in life, the really great people in my life, or is my focus on misery? Is my focus on drama? Is my focus on that? Is that what fuels me? Or can I focus on that one chance meeting with someone that raised my resonance and vibration? So that's what I'm choosing to do now, is really looking at the wonderful things in my life, the wonderful people in my life, because I was the ultimate poster boy for whining about how crappy my life was and telling everybody about how crappy my life was and all the drama in my life. Until a wonderful angel came along and pointed that out to me, and I decided to shift and change that. Because my life is pretty damn good. My life is wonderful. I have wonderful people in my life. I've got you guys in my life. I've got so many amazing things in my life, but I had to make that conscious choice. When that woman in LA said that to me, that, wow, I have to take responsibility and realize that what I've been conditioned with and programmed with was looking at all the shitty things in my life and surviving all the shitty things. And you totally forget all these wonderful things that are so much more than the quote unquote shitty things in life. Even, you know, so, and I know that there are people out there who are moving through physical dis-ease more than I ever have and all of that. But we all have our stuff. I just had to make a conscious choice to shift it and make the commitment to raise my awareness and consciousness that I'm whining, that I'm surviving, that I'm focusing on what isn't.
Beautiful.
And get a practice to shift that.
Beautiful. Jeff Fasano, lighten us up one more week, coming in from Nashville, Tennessee, the man in black. I love that, Jeff. Thank you so much.
But one more thing. The biggest thing is what Ev said. The biggest thing, folks, is what Evis said. It's life. It's life.
Yeah, and what Katrina says here is when we change our interval dialogue, we change our life's trajectory. Amen, sister. Thank you for that. Josh Ritcher, we're really moving things around tonight. We're just going to have you tonight. Now, Josh, this is your question is one of tonight's topic is what wakes us up in the morning. And I'm going to take us on a little bit of a ride in this moment and understand that is it what wakes us up in the morning? Is it really about waking up in the morning, or is it about the awakening? Right. And so, Josh, here's your question, Josh. What has been your biggest breakthrough on your journey of awakening?
Well, it's such a beautiful segue into everything that we're talking about. And what you guys said just before was that we can choose, and it's our choice on what we are indulging our thoughts in, what we are allowing our brain to run patterns about the thoughts that are we're allowing. And for me, it was very much, I mean, Jeff, you nailed it, man. When I was my unhappiest is when I was thinking in lack and doubt and worry and fear. And I was always thinking of the things that I was striving for and didn't have, and why didn't I have them, and how much harder I had to work. And when I couldn't get those, it was that I was a failure, and I was setting up these impossible sort of achievements, and and sort of these very limited expectations that were, whereas if my life didn't turn out that one way, it was a failure. And that is the opposite of surrender and trust and looking for the lessons and, reframing our thoughts into what is one of the most beautiful gifts, and we were all talking about it tonight, is gratitude. And gratitude is the antidote to a depressed, anxious life. It's like what Ev said, it's waking up and being thankful to be alive in the morning. Or like you guys were saying, and Jeff and Jay, noticing something small and amazing that we have had that day, an experience, a person, a discussion, just something simple, a flower, stopping and to smell a flower and appreciating how beautiful a flower is. Retraining our thoughts. It takes a little bit of effort, but it's not hard. And I would never say this work is hard, because I don't want to implant a negative idea in your minds. It's not. It's beautiful. We just have to notice where our thoughts are. Like Jeff and I, we were in lack and doubt and searching for things outside of ourselves. By choosing something like gratitude instead, keeps us in the present moment, like Ev was saying, and keeps us in appreciation of the things we do have. And that's where happiness, joy, and our true power lives, is in our ability to choose where our thoughts are, choose what we indulge in. And when we choose gratitude and appreciation, your life will always be better. And that's the power. That was my biggest awakening, was realizing that I had the power to influence my emotions simply by the thoughts I'm indulging in. And I was terrible at it before, and I ended up depressed, suicidal, and anxiety-ridden, and it was an awful, awful life. But it was the life of my creation, and in that responsibility, I had the ability to change it too.
Beautiful, brother.
But gratitude is king, queen, and the whole kingdom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It is.
And that's our choice.
I'm gonna invite you guys to join me in this moment and raise your arms in total gratitude, a gratitude moment for what we have and for what we are not even aware of what we have yet. Just to be grateful for this breath that we've been gifted today, and for the life we choose to live today. Every single one of us, viewers as well, we do this show to help inspire, to share our stories, our life experiences, and maybe help light you up if you're challenged in an area in your life that hasn't been working for you, to know that it's possible you can get there. Because there's very few things that you have witnessed or experienced that one of us four men have not been witness to or haven't been touched by. We have been there, we have experienced, we have suffered, we have struggled, we have survived. And today, we choose to focus our days, our nights, our awakened hours and our sleepful hours to focus on not what we don't have, but what we do have. To live in gratitude, as Josh shared, to focus on self-love, self-care, self-compassion, and self-forgiveness, and know that the only way we can get there is when we show up and we grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I love you guys. Thank you, viewers, for joining us this evening. We'll see you guys next week on Real Men, Real Talk Live.